Hi y'all. I just did a 35-minute video and got no sound out of it, so I'm going to do this again. Bear with me. So, today's little conversation and demonstration is about intonation. Um, and really, what that's about is I bought this guitar, and this has been a fantastic guitar. Let's start there. It's a fantastic guitar. I love it. It's great. However, since the day I got it and brought it home, it's never sounded, even acoustically, proper once I get past about mid neck, about halfway up the neck and into the higher frequencies. This guitar, in my opinion, it's by ear, right? But in my perception of this, is it sounded like crap. And I figured, well, I only spent $149 on the guitar, so you get what you pay for, move on, right? So enjoy what you got. And I've spent all of my time working at the bottom end down here because it sounds good, and I can with the power of my sound in my hands and my fingers, I can sort of force a little better articulation of those higher frequencies to a point. But I've been fighting something that I didn't understand. And I believe there's a possibility, and I'm just saying it's possible, that there's more guitar players out there than there should be that don't have this information. So let's jump right into this. Plug this in. I want to show you I've got a tuner here, right? This is just a basic tuner. Turn it on there, and I'll put this at the end here, and I'll try and set it so that you can see it. It's right at the end of the thing here, but I think you can see what I want to do here, right? So, all right, we're going to start on the top string, and I can't. I think you might be able to see this. So, there's E. It's funny, I just did this, and it takes a second to get it perfect. You play a bit, and then it gets off a little. Okay, so there's E, right? We agree. E. Yay. What most people don't know or understand is that proper intonation, if you look at this neck, right, you got a simple dot neck. But here at the 12th fret, you have two dots. This is where you check your intonation. If you press the top wire down and fret the top wire, you should be on E. Off. Now this is off a little bit. It was perfect a minute ago, and I apologize. This thing is there's A is the next wire down, right? A. Now, for this demonstration, of course, because I'm out of light, I'm out of time, and I'm almost out of batteries on this, I'll just explain it, okay? But what you need to do is get your E string perfect, right? Then once your E string is perfect, you need to be able to fret that wire and hit the same note. There it is. There it is. See that? Now it's at the limits of its travel, so I can't make it really really perfect, but it's very close on this guitar. And each wire you do the same thing. So on E standard tuning it's E, A, right? So the second wire is A. Interesting. It's there you go. This the tuner might be running out of batteries too. It's all the rest of us are. And how I hold it maybe have a little bit to do with it. I don't know. There we go. So there you go. So the point being, if you tune a wire to E, right? You should be able to touch that same wire at the 12th fret and fret it, strike it, and it should be perfect. E. If it isn't, you got to come back here to these saddles, and if it's sharp, you got to move the saddles back. If it's flat, you got to push them forward. Understand? So once you move them, and each time you move these, you change the tuning of your wire. So you have to retune. It's a very tedious process, and I spent probably at least 2 hours on this guitar, and my Patty guitar I spent even more, because it's a Floyd Rose and it's a lot more complicated. But anyway, it's the same, essentially the same process. You move the saddles as you have to move them to make sure your intonation at the 12th fret works with your tuner, right? You can't see the tuner here, but for instance, like my low E, there's a low E, right? It's off a little bit. E. You get the idea without getting tedious and going back over this thing 1,000 times. Like I said, it's a process you got to go through to get it right. But here's what that does, right? For the first time since I bought this guitar, and I'm now into this 2 years, maybe 2 years? 2 years. I'll just say 2 years. Well, for the first time in 2 years, I can now come up here on the frets, up here in the upper place. Might help if I turn the amp on. Right. Let's just go. Let's just do this. I promise you, this guitar has never sounded this good. Ever. Regardless of how I've set the amp up, how I've changed strings, I've done every setting insofar as the the pickups, and that's the next thing we'll talk about briefly, is the pickups and the height of the pickups. Okay, but to get the intonation right, if you can get the intonation right, all of a sudden it opens up the second half of my guitar that I've never really worked on because it's been too disappointing to play notes that don't sound good. And let's face it, if you can if you can play something and you like it, you're going to continue to play it. And in my case, I was of the mindset where, well, okay, you get what you pay for. I didn't pay a lot for the guitar. And yeah, I probably have to buy a better guitar for it to sound better in the upper frequencies. When in fact, that's a lie. It's an in truth. Um, it's a perception error, right? Because I hadn't walked the mile. And this is all about, if you want perception, you got to walk the mile to have the experience. Or somebody's got to show you what to do. And the problem you're going to probably have, unless you bring your guitar in and have it professionally set up, if you don't go through that expenditure, which, to be honest, that's almost worth the price of the guitar. So if you're not willing to do it yourself, or if you don't have the knowledge to do it yourself, are you going to pay almost what you paid for the piece to make the piece sound good? Probably not. You're probably going to spend double the money to get a better guitar, because in your mind that might fix the problem. The truth is, you can make this sound just fine. Going through the fundamentals of the guitar setup yourself and understanding why it does what it does can save you not just hundreds, but in some cases thousands. I mean, what's a a full-blown Gibson going for, right? And let's face it, if you're in a guitar store and you're saying, to the salesperson, well, yeah, it doesn't sound like, such and such my favorite person's guitar, and they're like, well, yeah, it's because you're not playing, that $4,000 guitar, or some cases a lot more. Some of those Les Pauls that you're seeing on TV they're priceless. And they're priceless to the point of, like, each player knows that person's guitar and the lineage of that guitar, whose hands it's been in, and the whole life of that guitar. Slash's guitar, that one he's carrying around everywhere he goes, that's a priceless guitar. Some of these ones you're seeing, they're $80,000 in some cases. If you can get that's if you can get it from them, and they won't sell them because they have such a love for them. So this information I'm about to impart, or am imparting with you, this could save you a fortune, really. So I would tell you right now, if you're a person who's even heard another guitarist talk about, yeah, this is a great guitar I've got, and I'm playing it really well down here, but man, it just up here's not right, or I think I'd sound better with a more expensive guitar. Share this video with them. At least suggest it to them. You may save them one heck of a lot of money. And I hope that's the case. I really do. Because this has happened to me twice. I have two guitars. I have this one, Sketty, and I got Patty. And Patty it's a Dean guitar, 24 fret, Floyd Rose system with Seymour Duncan blackouts. It's all that in a box of rocks. There's no reason why that guitar shouldn't. You could go anywhere in any venue in the world and blow the walls out. Like you got all the equipment you need to do. And now that I got it set up right, yeah, it's a skeleton key. I can walk in any door at this point with that guitar. Seriously. And this one too. And this is a $149 guitar. Because I set it up right. I've taken the time to go through the fundamentals and done the research and walked the mile and fixed its inherent little problems, which are just little stuff. But it's enough where it sounds off. And if it sounds off, you won't play it right. And if you can't play it right, you're not going to practice it much. And if you don't practice it much, we know where we're going with it, right? So, like I said, hopefully this information will help you. And I'm very sorry for the lighting and the time I've been able to get this done. Like I said, I blew the best part of my light tonight on the fact that I used somebody's pillow to prop up my iPad so that I could do this video, and unfortunately I put the pillow right behind the little speaker hole and I spoke for 35 minutes and I can't hear my own voice in my own video, which is pretty funny. Live and learn, right? Anyway, so that's where we're at with this. And the other thing I did, and I got the light set up at least fairly decently so you might be able to see part of this. You can see how the top up here is lower. The pickups here are lower to the pick guard than the high side, and it's almost double the distance between the wire and the terminal or post here and here. This is twice the distance, right? So it's much lower here, much higher here. What that's done is it brings clarity and sustain. So if your pickups are level, it probably doesn't sound all that good. And you're going to have to mess around with it to get it to your ear where it sounds good with your equipment. But that's something that's a by ear thing. And if you look at some of the other players and, you know, the people that you're listening to or whatever, they have different dimensions on how they have their stuff set up. And like I said, because it's all personal and it's very specific to that person and their playing style. So that's what I would tell you. Start with your intonation. Put a new set of strings on it. Get your intonation perfect. And every time you change these saddles and you move the saddles back and forth, you have to go back and retune the string. And like I said, once you get to the point where you can hit it here, right, and then hit it on then the 12th, and you got the same tone, and the little meter will confirm it. Once you get that right, you open up this whole end of the guitar, which previously, if it was set up wrong, would sound terrible. Or maybe not terrible, but it won't sound to the point where you'll be satisfied with it. And I listen to a lot of music. I'm really into it, so I picked this up right away. And that's probably the reason I have the other guitar is because I realized right out of the bag that, hey, this guitar's not making the sounds I want to make. So I got that. And like I said, on paper, Seymour Duncan's, Floyd Rose, 24 fret. Game over, right? That's got all the check marks are there. Like, you should be able to rock with that rig no matter what you do. If it's set up right. And that's the key. If you don't have it set up right, you're going to burn a lot of hours, a lot of time, and eventually, because of your frustration and your um, disappointment, you're going to spend money to buy your way out of the problem. If the guitar bug has really bit you. If not, you're going to walk away from the guitar. So, people that are just learning, if your guitar's not set up right, you're literally setting yourself up to fail without knowing it. And I think this information's super critical. Me, I'm not, the one man on the Monopoly board that wants to own it all. I want everybody to play. I do. I want to jam with people. I want to enjoy music. It's not about being king of the hill for me. And I'd rather share the information and save you a butt ton of money, right? Because it'd be really cool to jump on a plane right now and pop over to Russia, walk into a bar with this little guitar, my wire, and my little amp, and I guarantee you, I'll be having shots with the brothers in a couple of minutes. You'll win some hearts and friends, right? But if your stuff's not set up right, you got no chance. Or you're only going to be playing down here where it's comfortable, sounding good to you. So this applies to all guitars. Whether you spent 80 grand on Slash's guitar, if you get it from him, and I don't think you will, but if you did, think about that a minute. What could that save you? Right? So, set up your intonation. Set up your pickups. Take the time to understand what you're doing, why you're doing it, and if you have questions, I'll be happy to answer with comments or however we want to do it. But look for the answers. Don't just let it go. The intonation, like I said, I thought I knew a lot about this, and I had pretty good understandings. But to be honest, some of the teachers that talk about this stuff, they don't make it simple. And in my case, if somebody would have just said, okay, tune your top string to E. Boom, E. Check it here. Is it E or is it sharp? If it's sharp, I got to move the saddles back. If it's flat, I got to move them forward. And here's how you do it, right? Just that simple. If somebody would have told me that when I bought the guitar, I would have completely changed the last 2 years of my life. That's a fact. So I don't want this to go on too far, but I did want to give you a quick demonstration. And like I said, it's like wherever you put your hand now, it rings pretty nice. So it's all about, like I said, take the time, and it's a tedious process. And this Stratocaster is a lot simpler than my Paddy guitar. Like I said, it's a Floyd Rose setup, and it's a lot more um, difficult to do. But with some simple tools, um, it shouldn't be a problem for you. And like I said, if you have any real questions, I'm happy to answer them if I can. Or I'll be happy to start looking with you to find the answers. Because if you've got a question that you're coming up with that I can't answer, I want that answer just as bad as you do, because if I haven't found the problem, I will. So it's a matter of we all sort of need to stay in the community to help each other with this, in my opinion. Like I said, some of you might want to be king of the mountain and hold back your information or whatever, and that's cool. I respect that, but that's not me, and it's not how I roll. So, like I said, once you figure this out, and like I said, mess with your pickups too. Um, I have always been running this thing on the bridge because it's brighter and it sounded a little better, and it did make the upper end sound as good as it could for the setup that I had it set up at. But now that I've reset the pickups to what I like, I can now move this thing, and here, this is. It's a lot more pleasurable. And at the end of the day, that's what we're here for, to have pleasure with these things. And if you're going to put the 10,000 hours into one of these things, um, you're going to want to enjoy it. And if you're not, yeah, at some point, you're going to go back to wherever you're going to go, and you're going to spend probably, what, twice the money, three times the money to move up onto the next plateau of guitar that you may not really need to do. Because is that level of guitar going to provide you the final tone that you're looking for? Or do you need to spend the $1,200 on that nice Telecaster? Or the one I'm looking at's what, almost 22, 24, because I want the stainless steel frets, and because my fat fingers, I'm literally wearing these frets off. So I don't want regular steel. I need the stainless, because in less than 5 minutes, playing this thing, no matter how clean either one of us are, I've got more fret on my hand and more hand on the frets. It's just a transfer. It's like a DNA mill, really. But knowing this 2 years ago would have changed my life. And it would have stopped the lust of equipment all along the way. Thinking, wrongly thinking, mind you, that I needed to spend more money to get better equipment to sound better. And fortunately, every time I started to go down that road, I stopped myself and go, you know what? Instead of spending more money and buying more guitars, why don't you just sit back and play better? So I've forced myself through my own hand to try to overcome a lot of this problem right here, the intonation, and never knew that was the demon in the woodwork here, right? So, like I said, I hope this gives you a little bit of information that you can run with and hopefully saves you some bank somewhere along the way, or a loved one some bank, or a friend, or whatever. Having the information, the experience is what it's all about. So I hope that that works for you, and you know, I'll dial in a little chorus here for this, make it sound a little sweeter. That's the middle pickup. I've never played the middle pickup until the last 3 days because it sounded so terrible. It's hard to hit the wires when you can't see them in the dark. Here's a Pete chord. There you go. I hope that works for you as well as it's worked for me. Um, like I said, if you have any questions or problems with your setup and you need help and you're having a hard time finding that help, I'll be happy to answer whatever questions I can in the comments if I got the time. And like I said, if you run into something that I haven't figured out, or I'll go looking with you. We'll find it together because this stuff needs to be found. And I'm just as interested in it as you are, maybe more so. So I hope that works for you. I know it worked for me, and it worked even better on my other guitar. And I hope in the next video, because I'm out of time, you can see the sun's going down fast here, and I don't have power or water here, and living under these constraints is difficult on its best day. And anyway, I won't go into that. But yeah, get yourself a tuner, just a simple tuner, right? What did it take? A set of the small screwdrivers, a couple of Phillips head screwdrivers, one flat screwdriver to do the Seymour Duncans on my Paddy guitar, and a couple of Allen wrenches is all this took for me to fix, like I said, a problem that's been plaguing both of my guitars now since I bought them. And here's one thing to consider. You know, the people that are selling guitars aren't. It's not necessarily in their best interest to put the guitar out perfect. I mean, and I'm sure the reputable ones do, and more power to you. And I hope I come across you guys in my travels, and I'll buy you a beer, and we'll talk about it. But for the folks that just kind of pull them out of the box, you know, I mean, just think about the big store, right? The big store that has a new employee that's pulling guitars out of the box and sticking them on the wall with a price tag. He's probably not checked out on how do you do the intonation. They may put one of these on there and they'll tune it up real quick, but is this thing completely set up? No. So until you get these things set up where you want them and they're comfortable to play, and you figure out, okay, I've taken all the burrs off the frets of a cheaper guitar, and wow, that makes it a whole lot different playability. Or I get the string levels to a point where I can fret it. That makes a big difference. But until your intonation is right at the 12th fret, you're only dealing with half the guitar, in my opinion. So I hope that helps. And like I said, I hope it saves you a buttload of money. And I hope it possibly gets shared around so that other people save a buttload of money. Give it a try. Let me know in the comments what you think about it and how it worked out for you. I'm interested to know. I'm interested to be able to help somebody. So if it helped you, please let me know that. I'd appreciate. Have a great day.